What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another acrylic painting Thursday. So we're gonna go ahead and paint a Caravaggio today, as was requested last week. This is a image from Google Arts and Culture. I think it's one of the first images that show up when you look at Caravaggio. Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio. So let's just go ahead and get started here. This is acrylic paint, though we will be doing a master study of an oil painting. Just like last time we did a acrylic Sargent. Today is Caravaggio. Hey Randy, welcome. Glad you made it to the stream today. Hey Vamika, thanks for watching from North Carolina. And today is a little interesting. We're doing this stream earlier in the day because I was invited to a art group that is 18 minutes away from where I live, but it is at 6 o'clock and I wouldn't be able to do my normal 4 o'clock stream and still make it to that group. So I decided to change it today for this time, and depending on like how things go there, I may go more often. So this will be useful for anyone that hasn't been able to watch the stream because it's too late in the day for you, or too early. Hey Kathy, welcome. Okay, so as usual, this is business as usual with the acrylics. Can't believe I'm saying that now, but yes, we've done so many acrylics that you may already know how I'm going to go about this painting. I'm going to preserve the white of the canvas for the skin tones. I like to work on a white canvas with acrylics. But as you saw yesterday, I like to work with a neutral gray with oil paint. Yeah, I can, well, I'd have to look it up on my computer, but it's Caravaggio on Google Arts and Culture. Maybe Randy or Kathy, do you want to look it up for me? No, I'm just kidding. I should do that myself. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone, send it. Because I literally just got the image from my phone. Yeah, here it is. Airdrop it to myself. Assuming my airdrop is going to work. And dark shape for where the shadows will eventually fit. Somewhere about there. Doesn't need to be that exact at first. So let me see if the airdrop worked. There we go, it did work. All right, we can do this. And, oops. I should have airdropped it to my iPad. Because as of now, I still can't access the comments on my computer. So we're using my iPad. Okay, now we're safe enough to start to add some things for the skin tone. By the way, these colors are not very expensive. These are just the Artist Loft, basically student grade acrylics, and they work just fine. I don't feel the need to have to upgrade them. They're doing just fine. So I want this to be fairly light, as it's a little bit difficult to build the light back. There we go, something like that. There we go, now we can cover all of this. And because acrylic dries with the quickness, we don't really have to worry about the layering process. This is a rather laid back approach to painting. Hey Giselle, welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm glad to finally have connected with you on Facebook. I didn't look at my messages, I should have. But I finally got to my Facebook. Yeah, I will be posting more stuff on Facebook eventually. We'll also have some things for sale soon. I know I say that like every week, but I put some more thought into what I want to sell. I had a little yellow here just because the painting itself is kind of yellowish. Neck is gonna fit somewhere over there. And let's just cover the rest of the white of the canvas around there. That should be pretty good. Now we'll just take some red. By the way, this is the same Stay Wet palette that we've been using the entire time. So this has now been sitting here for five weeks, and the paints have not dried. This is an extremely useful palette, and it is the palette for anyone that wants to work in acrylic. Let's see, are you taking medium color skin tone? Yeah, kind of. A light middle skin tone. 40 BDG, welcome. Hey Ling Ling. Thinning, yeah, with just water on the palette. It is a wet palette. It's a stay wet palette. And I've got it linked in the description box for you. Anyone that is, interested in doing acrylic. There's so much you can do with acrylic, let me tell you. And before I forget, let me go to my email so I can share the link with you. I think this is the one, isn't it? No, it's not the one. Hold on a second. Of course I sent myself the wrong link. Interesting. Okay, well, there we go. I got it. Copy link. And there we go. Here it is. I'll put it on the chat now. There we go. I did it. I know how to use the internet somewhat. That's the link to this image in case you want to paint along with me, or draw, or use watercolor, or pastel. Anything you want. You could use any material you want. Like I said, the time is a little different today because I finally found a group, or a group found me, and we'll be painting a live module today. Excited for that. It'd be nice to not have to drive all the way to Baltimore to do that. Although I do miss painting with my Baltimore friends. So going around the hair. Nothing has to be that perfect right now. Caravaggio worked with the classical approach. He did it, from my understanding, he would have done a careful grisaille and built his color up through working over top of an underpainting, which again is a grisaille. Hey Maggie, welcome, welcome. Thanks for watching from Scotland. Vamika, of course. Took me a minute to find it, but I found it. And I know the shoulder needs to raise a little bit. So let's do that now before I forget. Somewhere about there. Now an off-white, kind of similar to the skin tone, but closer to the blue. We'll have to go here. That's pretty close enough. Really chill, really laid back start. Nothing to stress out about with this Caravaggio. Straightforward painting. With acrylic, it's quite useful to knock out the background as early as you can. Now we've pretty much almost got the white of the canvas covered, and we set this up, and this is not perfectly dry yet, but dry enough. We can start to build onto it. So let's go back to the background. As this is a different time, I hope that this might reach someone new. So if anybody's new here, let me know. Caravaggio's chiaroscuro is really, really useful, and I'm gonna say this a lot, I guess, today. It's gonna be really useful to have the background, the dark of the background, first. Not for much of a color reason, but more for value and composition. Chiaroscuro means just pushing contrast between light and dark. And that's what we're doing here, pushing the contrast between light and dark. And acrylic is really nice for this because there's a lot of paint involved in doing all this. If I were to be doing this with oil paint, it would actually take me a little bit longer because I'd have to be thinning out the paint a lot, and these paints are already quite thin as they are. A little bit of that light that is in the composition. You know, and acrylics don't dry super fast. They dry fast enough to let me do what I gotta do. And now I'm gonna have to add a little more red to the palette. And we're gonna start to block in the shadow tones. Yesterday's painting of the professional pool player went pretty well. I think he liked his portrait, Georgie. And of course tomorrow we'll be doing a Rembrandt with pastel. blocking in the shadow tones. Doesn't need to be perfect. Acrylic dries with the quickness, so you will be able to correct anything. Now, of course, that's not the correct shape for that, but that's alright. It doesn't have to be perfect. As acrylic dries with the quickness, it allows you to make any changes you need to do, painting wet into dry. Throw in something for the eye sockets now. Simple little shapes for the eye sockets, nothing too complicated. Keep your shapes simple and easy, such that when the time comes to make changes, those changes will be simple and easy to manage. Nose. Yellow ochre, burnt umber. This is raw sienna. These are very useful colors for blocking in shadow tones. Remember, light and shadow is the number one thing that beginning students tend to struggle with, maintaining simple light and shadow. Mouth is gonna fit somewhere over there. Bottom of the orbicularis oris is gonna fit right there. Nice and simple. That's our first little guesstimation for where the features of the face are going to fit. Now we're going to add another color to the shadow. Any online students that are waiting for the next installment for the classes, again, please refer to the virtual classroom with regard to the checkpoints. Every student has something to do on their project before moving on to a new checkpoint. And it seems that with the plane head, there's a little more stuff that should be explained about the orbicularis oris, so we're going to focus on that. In case any of the online students are here wondering, where's the next lesson? Because I don't want to add too much and overwhelm you. As we are doing a semester system, it's important to complete each checkpoint before moving on. The name of the painting I'm using is Supper at Emmaus. But I did comment the link. But if you need me to, I can re-comment it. Or I could pin it. Guess I could just pin it. So this is a really straightforward Caravaggio, so anybody that wants to, follow along, this is a really simple one to do. Angle of the eyes is really the only thing you have to be conscientious of. And yeah, let's, oops. Let me see if I can pin it. Yeah. I'm learning how to use the computer. Well, in this case, that was the iPad, but still. It is now pinned. The shadow gets darker. Darker shadow. Darker shape. Don't worry about any detail. It's way too soon for detail. These are just place markers for where all the stuff is going to eventually fit. Don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself. Simple shapes is the way to go. It, to me, is hilarious that people think that Caravaggio had to rely on a projection, like projecting shadows onto his canvas to draw. It's just, it's hilarious to me because you can see that Caravaggio has romanticized the drawing. There's a very Leonardo kind of thing going on here. He didn't need to use a projector. If I don't need to use a projector to do this, or a projection, Caravaggio doesn't need to. Even though he did do some weird stuff. Proportion-wise, if you look at this painting, the original, and look at the character to the far right, the perspective is super off on the hand, and it's like super off. And that's why a lot of people speculate that maybe he did use projections, because some things are incredibly off. And Caravaggio is Caravaggio. I think that based on his personality, he probably did that for some kind of whimsical reason, I think. Perhaps to mess with people. Like I do when I paint Bender into compositions. But that one remains kind of a mystery to me. Why would Caravaggio do that? Yeah, no problem, Giselle. Another pass onto the shadow. Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio. How many of us think that Caravaggio's name was actually Caravaggio? It wasn't. His name was Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio. Really great documentary on him. It's an old one, but it's a really good documentary called The Power of Art by Simon Schama. There was a quote where Simon Schama said Caravaggio didn't draw a thing. He merely looked, eyeballed. And to me it's hilarious that he said that, but you know, he was just trying to get people's attention. He was a great, or is a great storyteller. A little bit of yellow. Again, yellow ochre is a super important color. How important? Super important. Okay, dokie. Now we're going to add another pass to the skin, and I'm going to add an orangey type hue. Just going between yellow and red, white, and clean off the brush a little bit so there's not too much paint on it. Okay, now we're going to use this. Test it out on the corner. Pretty good, perhaps too yellow. But we can adjust it with white. There we go. White itself is a coolant. This might be borderline too yellow. So we'll add some gray. That's a little bit better. Okay, that's much better. Just to throw in a yellow tone. This painting is mostly yellowish, but I didn't add so much yellow that it would be overpowering, just enough to the entire light side of the face. And somehow we actually got the neck yellow enough, I guess. Super simple, easygoing starts to this painting. Now another pass onto the shadows. Right here, it's a little bit leaning towards a darker value than I had before. So that's good. Got the Rembrandt lighting in there and everything. Now we're going to start to add some of the dark for the eyebrows. Just like that. And we're adjusting the shadow shape for the nose. With acrylic, you don't want to paint too thin. You don't want it to have a watercolor type consistency. Not that I know anything about watercolor, but you don't want it to have a thin look this early on. Eva Mika, you have a question. Is it easy to paint from real photographs or from paintings? I'd say it's always easier to paint from paintings, and it's better for learning purposes to paint from paintings like this Caravaggio, especially if you don't have access to painting from life, like I once didn't, and now I think I do. We'll see. I'll keep you all informed about how tonight goes. But yeah, paint from real references. Don't if you can avoid it, try to avoid painting photographs of people, like especially like smiley ones. Try to avoid that. Hey Giselle, you wrote, does that yellow make neutral greens for flesh color? Yes, exactly. The yellow will make nice neutral greens eventually for the skin tones. Absolutely. That's an excellent observation. This is my first value in the skin, by the way, first middle tone in the skin. But the purpose here, the main objective, is just light and shadow. But you know, it's developed enough that I can now start to go into planes. And now we start our counter. How many times does Yupari say planes in any given stream? How many times am I going to say planes today? Here, let's make it more interesting. Planes, 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 planes. How many times am I going to say planes? It's plain to see that I'm going to say planes a lot. Nose. Anyone ever play that game, Nose Goes? Keeping the light and shadow shapes simple and easy to manage is the goal. Yeah, once upon a painting, I used to think that the acrylic portraits were something out of this world, like very difficult to do, but really they're not. There's really nothing about this that should prevent anyone from using acrylic, especially if you want to make oil painting looking paintings. It's not that bad. All you have to do is just follow along, paint with the simple shapes. Know your values. It's not that bad. Hey Mark, welcome. Thanks for joining. I understand that you can't stay too long. This is kind of in the middle of the day, literally in the middle of the day, and it's because I found a group, or someone told me about a painting group. So I'll get to paint from life today at 6. So that's why I had to do the stream earlier. But tomorrow will be same time, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock we'll be doing pastel tomorrow. So I appreciate you joining. So I'm turning planes. Oh, thanks for the question. What color mixing exercise do you recommend for a beginner learning what their tubes of colors could do? Oh, excellent. I wouldn't suggest doing anything, that requires a lot of drawing. Instead, what I would recommend is something like a still life. Set up a still life in the sunlight and paint it kind of like a Henry Hinchy. To those that don't know what I'm talking about, basically, if you want to get acclimated to any palette, do a still life. Do something that actually has a practical application. You could also do a color chart as well with your palette. That's fine too. But set up a color study and paint under different light circumstances. So, say paint an apple in the sunlight, paint it indoors. It gets you used to seeing color, but it also gets you used to your palette, your color palette, especially for beginners out there. Great question, Mark. Really appreciate your contributions to the dialogue here. I can never say planes enough. Yeah, Mark, it's a huge deal. Actually, it's a game changer basically that uh, I found out about a group. I mean, I can't raise my hopes that much, but I tend to be a pretty optimistic person. So hopefully, fingers crossed that group does do long poses. Hopefully, multiple sessions, at least 3. Because it takes a while to do a painting. I can do these studies pretty fast, but you know, I want to do bigger paintings. I've got an 1824 canvas ready for today. Yeah, the source I'm using for tomorrow, I don't know actually. Why not just the regular Rembrandt that shows up that everybody knows of? Like if you Google Rembrandt, the one that, I mean, I couldn't be any more vague, but there's one Rembrandt face in particular that shows up every time, at least every time I look him up. I mean, or not. We'll see. I don't know exactly which one I'll use just yet. But Rembrandt portraits, especially his self portraits, are very consistent. His style was tighter when he was younger, but it's not that different. Of course, the paintings that he did closer to the end of his life are way different. But we're going to stick with one of his more academic ones. Yeah, because it is way different. I'm excited too. I really hope that they are long poses. And I know from personal experience how difficult it is to run a painting group with multiple day or multiple week poses. I know that's very difficult to manage because a lot of people don't like doing long poses. A lot of people just like like a one-time thing and then move on. But I like more careful, developed long-term studies because that's what builds you up towards stuff like this. As you can see, just simple shapes. It's really easy to move things around. The planes. Add another one to the counter. The planes are really simple. This is an excellent exercise for anyone. This Caravaggio is probably one of his best portraits that I've seen. Michelangelo Marisi de Caravaggio. Keeping these planes simple is the goal. Simplicity is the goal. Simple shapes is the way to do it. Keep your shapes simple and easy. And trust me, I'm going to make some t-shirts. We're going to sell some merchandise. Get ready. Simple shapes. Planes, 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 planes. Probably sell a t-shirt that just says planes, 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 planes. It's plain to see. And we're just at 42 minutes. Moving a tad bit faster than usual. I will say acrylic, it is a little bit easier to move faster because it just kind of dries and you can work so many layers with the quickness. And it does dry, believe it or not, slow enough that you can do something like that, wet into wet, if you're fast enough at mixing. So Caselli always found gesture drawings a fun warm-up with live models. Oh yeah, gestures are a really good way to learn as well. I mean, when I was at Incaminati, we did 6 hours a day, 2 minute, 1 minute, 2 minute gesture drawings. I mean, it was a workout for us just as it was for the model. And that really gets you to loosen up your brush stroke. Helps you develop more confidence. It's good to do as well. Not knocking that. And if you can do them on paper that is not too expensive but quality enough to be able to sell them, it's not a bad idea either. Gotta make the money wherever you can. Really nice and simple Caravaggio. Simple shapes of light and shadow. Simple planes. Planes, planes, planes. Another one to the counter. Again, the paint stays wet just long enough to be able to round out the shape. But again, it's too soon to be rounding too much stuff. Again, I hope that this time doesn't mess people up too much. I do apologize for that. I did schedule this though ahead of time. I don't know, like 2 days ago maybe. So hopefully this doesn't mess with your schedule too much. Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio. Great artist, not so great person. Really fun, interesting documentaries on him. I've always wanted to do a still life of artichoke. Artichoke and butter and oil. Like a thing of butter and then a thing of like oil. Like a container of oil. Or any art history fans out there, I would do a painting of artichoke and with butter and oil next to it. And that has a lot to do with Caravaggio. Caravaggio, I will not give it away. Look it up. What does artichoke, butter, and oil have to do with Caravaggio? But Mika, who's my favorite artist? Nelson Shanks. Not even a hesitation there. Nelson Shanks is my favorite. Today, when I go paint from life, I'll be working on a gray tone canvas. I will be using oil paint. Just like Nelson Shanks, working on a gray tone. Bring lots of colors and hopefully have a blast. We shall see. Nelson Shanks. Question for everyone as well. Who's your favorite artist? Living or dead? Good question for everybody. Oof, that's way too gray. I wanted to add a cooler note, but that's a little too gray. Any Caravaggio fans here? Is anybody out there? Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio. Maybe it's not as known, but there was also another painter named Rembrandt. I think his name was Rembrandt Peale. Imagine that. Caravaggio's name, his first name was Michelangelo. And so that's why I guess he had to go by a different name. It's my guess. And of course, there was another artist named Rembrandt Peale. During, I guess, the colonial times. Hey, Melody. Alphonse Mooch. I gotta look that one up, but awesome. Thank you for sharing. Simple shapes of light and shadow. again, the paint stay wet long enough to be able to do things like this. Paint wet into wet. I try not to force the acrylics to dry any differently. And of course, Caravaggio is, I think, probably one of the top, I'd say my top 10, top 5, probably top 5 favorite artists. I mean, of course, it's Nelson Shanks, Rembrandt, Sargent, Bouguereau, Caravaggio, and also Bob Ross for what he did with video. What he did with video is, inspiring to all of us art YouTube creators to be able to reach out to that many people in a positive way. It's a dream of mine. So Mark, you know about the mucha? Yeah, I got to educate myself here, learn more. That's what we used to say back in the early 2000s. Got to learn more. A little bit more for the hair. And what's nice about acrylic is, another thing that's nice about acrylic is it doesn't glare quite as much, at least this brand, the cheap Artist Loft. Although I also have some Liquitex Basics in here. I think the raw Sienna is Liquitex Basics. Don't really notice a difference between them. Hey Danny Hill Bagala, welcome. Oh, I'm glad you like the Caravaggio, or at least you're happy that we're doing the Caravaggio. Of course, this is a great suggestion to do the Caravaggio. And I still have it written down on my table. I wrote it down last week. I wrote Caravaggio's name to remind myself to do this painting. Mark you said you don't have a favorite artist. It's probably a bad thing. No, it's alright. It's okay. There's just too many to choose from. So Caselli maybe used to thicken the paint. I don't really have to thicken make the paint too thick. Five minutes till the break, so this is quite a lot to have been. Quite a lot has been done in an hour. Still a lot more to go, but just like clockwork, when we return, we will return to the subtleties. Yeah, it's alright. We're all a little indecisive, I understand. No one is, holding a gun to your head saying, choose your favorite artist now! You must choose! Who is your favorite artist? Decide now or else. Now we're starting to add some more planes. The side of the mouth. Still a tad bit too early for subtleties, but we're only 5 minutes away from the break. Michelangelo, Merisi de Caravaggio. Okay, so you meant the answer. Answer to. Oh, you wrote, did he use them as oil for paints? Oh, okay. I think you're referring to the artichoke. No. I can spoil the little hunt here. So there's a famous tale about Caravaggio getting angry at a waiter or somebody that was working at a tavern or something like that. And I got this from the Simon Chama documentary, so who knows if this even happened. But it is known that Caravaggio asked the waiter, were the artichokes done in butter or oil? And the waiter, not knowing that Caravaggio, or maybe knew who Caravaggio was, the waiter said, I don't know, smell them yourself. Caravaggio gets angry, pulls out his dagger, and gets the waiter, slams his head onto the table, and then puts the dagger like on the table, like threatening the waiter, and all this was over artichoke. Was it done in butter or oil? I don't know, smell them yourself. Caravaggio goes on a rampage. That's where that came from. Hey, Vamika, I'm glad you like his dark and light. Caravaggio's chiaroscuro. Of course, he didn't invent it, but he pioneered it. I mean, he made it. He perfected it. Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio. And we just got 30 seconds left till the break. So we've done quite a bit, quite a lot. But remember, it's not about the speed. It's about simple light and shadow. Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio. Fun name to say. So it looks like it is break time. Time goes by pretty fast. I appreciate all of you that have left a like. I know this is at a different time than you're used to, so I appreciate everyone that is here today. And everyone that's watching this video after the fact. So as usual, we're going to take a break. And I'm sure by now you're familiar with the video that I played during the break of my Shiba Inu Hugo. So I will return in just a little bit. So just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back. And I have returned. So will be this. I don't know actually if this will be the new time on Thursdays. I don't know. I'm only doing this because I mean at this time because I want to be able to make it to that painting group. So if things work out with the painting group, then yeah, I probably have to do earlier on Thursdays or later. I'm not sure. Um, I don't know really. But let me know if this doesn't work for anyone. If this, you know, although I do have to paint from life, that is kind of important for me to do. To be honest, I actually have a little more energy right now than I typically do. Sometimes I get more, I guess, tired. I guess it depends if I practice my pool game beforehand, which I didn't today. I've been slacking with pool. I haven't been practicing much. But yeah, I hope this time is okay. I know it's not ideal for everyone. Yeah, it gives me just enough time to paint for 3 hours. So like 12 to 3, and then I have like 2 hours to prepare to go to my painting, to go to the painting group. And of course, I'll hopefully be able to get more reference images for, um, other YouTube paintings. Although I have plenty now, thanks to all the wonderful people that let me take pictures of them. It's so funny, during the break we have quite a lot of people on the stream, and then I start painting again and you leave. Could be that he wants, Hugo to be here as opposed to me. That would be kind of interesting. But if that's what you want, gonna do a live stream for Hugo. I want to make his own merchandise or his own Patreon. Hugo, the amazing Shiba Inu. Now we're gonna mix a middle value. I really should have my values a little more organized on the palette, but this is just how they are right now. Simple shapes of light and shadow. Yeah, I mean, I wish that the group would meet on a different day. That would make things easier for me to keep the schedule as consistent as possible. So is anyone here new or find that this time is better for them? I would like to know. Because I know that this time may not work for some viewers. But luckily we have 3 streams a week. So if you miss one, you got 2 others. Oh, you say it's maybe a lunch break for many working. That's true, that's true. In some instances, it might actually be a good thing for new viewers randomly scrolling on YouTube during their lunch break. Might be a good idea too. Yeah, during this time, I'm usually doing either studio painting or practicing my pool. So this actually cost me my pool time. But I did not want to miss a day. Not cool. I don't want to miss a day. Hey Melody, oh good, I'm glad you like this time. It's gonna take some getting used to with others if we do stick with this timing. I mean, we're kind of hoping that we do. Kind of, you know, hoping things work out with that painting group. Again, the only reason it's at this time is because I'm gonna go to a painting group. I'll actually get to finally paint from life in Northern Virginia. Can you believe it? In the subtlety stage, it's important that you subdivide your shapes into smaller and smaller planes. 40 BGG, you like this time too, thanks. I'm glad that works out for you as well. Subdividing the planes. I guess so. Oh, that's a good thing. Time would be great for those at home with school-aged children who don't get home till 3. Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. Around here, I live near a pretty huge school. It's called Hayfield, and usually when that school lets out, man, the traffic is impossible, unbearable. Hey, Melody, you're in Pacific Standard Time, so this time is great. Oh, awesome. Is Pacific Standard Time, I don't even, so that means it's maybe earlier in the day for you? Or late? I don't know, actually. What time is it in Pacific? What time is it in Pacific Standard Time right now?
Here's what I found.
It is 25th, okay. 3 hours behind. Okay, so you're 3 hours behind. Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad that that works for you. Remember everyone, these streams are free for everybody. And again, this is all about working with simple shapes, even though now we're subdividing shapes into smaller shapes. Still the same concept. And there's no reason to believe that it can't be done with acrylic. You could do anything you want with any medium you want, as long as you find a way. Okay, so now that we're going to get into more careful forms, I'm going to have a gradation, as you see here, from light to dark. So let's go ahead and charge these mixtures up. We are using a stay wet palette, so the mixtures will stay wet. So that's that value. Now we're going to mix this one, which we know is somewhat in the orangey yellow. So it's 10:20 a.m. over there. All right, so it's not too early, not too late. So now you see this value, this one. Same brush. Now we're gonna have our dark, which is gonna be black and red. Not really much use for blue today. All right, so now we've got our mixtures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically 5 values here on the palette. Of course, there'll be many more sandwiched in between. Okay, let's do this. Now is the time where we can use the transparency of the paint to have an effect on the value transitions. So essentially what I'm going to do here is dry brush and let the layer underneath show through. This value is a bit too dark, a tad too dark. Mix that up again. It's important that you have the values organized on your palette. Feel free to use as much paint as you want, because this will not dry. This is hands down the best invention I've ever seen for painting, is the Stay Wet palette. Links in the description box of the video in case you want your own. Especially if you're going to be doing portraiture. And now we have graduated ourselves towards this smaller brush. So going from a broom to a needle. Introducing the smaller brush. And what's nice about this is I don't have to worry about my pinky getting into anything because this is dry. Now we're gonna do all those little gradations that you wanted to see. And this is going to be more or less kind of wet on wet for the eye. One brush. Don't worry about how fast the paint dries. It stays wet long enough. Now you see how we created the form for the eye? Just like an oil painting. Same stuff. It's just that you have to work a little bit faster, more direct. But a Caravaggio in acrylic is, to my knowledge, unheard of. So hopefully someone will benefit from this video. There we go, oil painting like edges. How to blend with acrylics. It's really easy to do. Don't blend. Just mix your colors next to each other and make sure that the value transition is what makes this look soft. But yes, you can somewhat blend them by pushing them towards each other, wet into wet. And make sure that you mix your gradations on your Stay Wet palette ahead of time. That will make this a lot easier. Even the eyebrow is going to have some simple gradations using the Stay Wet palette. Make sure that the eyebrow has planes also. Or else the eyebrow will look painted on. So comment from Varkala, you wrote, I'll have benefit beard bold men is huge success for me. In the end I'll go with oils over that painting. Let's see. Oh, it was on in an exhibition. That's awesome. Congrats. I'm sorry it didn't sell. It's quite difficult to sell paintings these days. Trust me, I understand that life. Okay, so now this eye looks like it was done with oil paint. Just be cautious with your mixtures. Plan ahead by pre-mixing on the palette. And there you go. Simple gradations here. Simple gradations here. And acrylic tends to have a tendency to make a more rough surface appear smooth because it fills in the texture of the canvas. It's a really nice effect to be able to have. These premixtures are vital to this painting process. Alrighty, now we can move to the other eye. Starting out with the shadow tone, should be a tad bit warmer. Though you can't really see it on the palette, I have added more red to this mixture. Now while the paint is still wet, I'm going to use the gradations here to blend out the edge. Wet into wet. Till we get an edge that looks just like an oil painting. And as you see, the acrylic stays wet enough to be able to paint this just like an oil painting. And there it is. There's that edge. And that is how you blend skin colors with acrylics to look just like an oil painting. A little bit more red in this shadow tone as well. A bit cooler, so I'll use the yellow. going to my darker area now, the edge of the hair. Now again, the shadows need to be a little thicker, more red. The specificity of light and shadow is important here. A little bit lighter here with a reflection. And of course, while the paint is still wet on this corner, we can start to add some plane changes. So hopefully you're enjoying the stream, everybody. Let me know if you're enjoying the stream. If you would like me to do another old master painting next week, let me know. For acrylic. See, now we've got that edge just like an oil painting. That's crazy. We're already 40 minutes into the second part. So 20 minutes till the next break. Then when we return, we'll return to the impossible subtleties. Just like clockwork. But I need your help. Let me know what you think about these streams. So now we have that eye somewhat developed. We're working around the eye. Is anybody out there? Do we have any acrylic painters here? Oil painters, pastel, watercolor. Now we'll move on to the nose. Planes for the nose. Maybe everybody is highly focused on the painting. Where is everybody? Hey Melody, you wrote your chat was too long. No worries. Glad you're still here. Melody, pre-blending the value changes on my Stay Wet palette is a game changer. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. It is a huge benefit to be able to do that. In fact, I think acrylic would be way too difficult to do without it. I mean, it's possible, but this makes it much easier to do. Because you don't have to remix everything as you go. Nostril in the shadow. Hey, Uncle Earl. Thank you. I'm glad you've been watching for 6 weeks. Of course, Uncle Earl. Thanks for joining. And yeah, my online classes are it's a semester style system. So basically, you can begin, of course, at any time. And the projects are at your own pace. And what it is it's done through a series of checkpoints. So each painting video has a specific checkpoint image that you use as a reference. So you paint, of course, at your own pace, and all of the videos will basically cycle again. That's why I call it a semester system. But you can start at any time. And an important thing though is that I give feedback to students only for online class projects, so I'm a little more strict about that than I used to be. And that's because I want to build apprentices. So once a student completes a certain number of projects, after I deem that they passed each project, so to speak, then students will reach a level that I call apprentice, which means I will guide said students to their own studio work, creating their own, taking their own references, making their own videos if they want to, or going down the gallery route if they choose. Any medium, you can use any medium you want. Pastel, oil paints, acrylic. And melody. Oh, good. I'm glad you also noticed that as well. That the paint has an opportunity to still be wet when you go to blend. Exactly. But you could also paint wet into dry as well. But yeah, the Stay Wet palette is a huge advantage. And we're going to do that again with the bulb of the nose, rounding it out. As you see, the paint stays wet long enough for me to do that. Now we've rounded that shape out. Some adjusting of the shadow shape there. So Uncle Earl, you wrote, what do you think of the Artist Loft paints? Oh, they're great. I like them. They're not expensive at all. They work just fine. I mean, all of this is with the Artist Loft. I do have some Liquitex basics that I bought because they were on sale for like something cents. And I got it confused. I said I got it from Office Depot, but I actually got it from Staples. I got that confused. They're great paints to use. Hey Daniel Vogler. No difference in this reproduction, just like oil painting. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's the same kind of stuff. It's no different. Just the timing is a little different with the mixtures. That's all. The objective always remains the same: light and shadow. Hey, Libertas, welcome, welcome. Libertas. Recharge this little mixture a tad bit. And now we have rounded out the nose a little bit. Of course, there's going to be some reflected light underneath of the nose, that reflected red. And I'm gonna have to change the light sensitivity in a second here, because now it looks like you can't quite see these plane changes. So yeah, let's do that. Change the light sensitivity a little bit. And we've got, about 4 minutes till the break anyway. Moving pretty fast. There you go. Hopefully you can see it a little better. Pushing the shadows now. So again, hopefully this goes to show you you don't need very expensive paints to do this in acrylic. Nor do you need very expensive brushes. And we've got about 30 seconds till the break. You may learn to draw quickly and accurately from an online class attended based in the UK. Got 3 poses from a different model. Oh, good. "10 minutes at a time, then half an hour." Then you did full body pose for 20 minutes. That's good. There's also a time to do longer refined drawings, but it's a good balance to have the long pose and the short pose. Time really went by quickly with this one. So you wrote sometimes they had different expressions. That's good too, knowing the muscles of the face, how they relate to different expressions, but also be careful not to get caught into too many smiley paintings. Okay, so it's been an hour now. Another hour, so we're at the 2-hour mark. And as usual, I will take a break and I'll play the video of Hugo again for you. And I'll be back in just a couple minutes. I will return to add the impossible subtleties to the face, and then of course add more for the clothing and stuff, and bring this painting to a finale. So I will be back in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere. And I shall return. Alrighty, I have returned. Now it's time to paint the last hour for this one. I apologize for the time difference. I know it might have affected a lot of people. So remember, the reason that I'm streaming at this time as opposed to my usual time is because got invited to a painting group that's only about 18 minutes away. Although I guess with traffic it might be worse. And painting from life is very important. If you have a group near you, definitely do it. It's one of the best ways to learn to paint or draw. Now we're keying the lights a little bit, pushing them brighter. Of course, they will dry darker. As it is acrylic. Acrylic dries darker. Melody, smiley, yeah. So you said your commission work almost always smiley. Yeah, that's the tough part with commissions is sometimes we don't have a choice. We are told to paint a smiley. It's usually why I don't do too many commissions unless I get to take the photographs. So that is a difficult thing about commissions, for sure. I did say that those would dry darker, but it didn't dry that much darker. still using the same brush for pretty much everything. Again, a very unconventional painting here. Almost rarely will you see, to my knowledge, an acrylic Caravaggio. This is a rare study here. But it's a fun one to do. Anyone that struggles with acrylic, so question for those of you watching live. Do any of you use watercolor? Are there any watercolor painters here? Curious. Any watercolor painters here? Watercolorists? Well, I guess if you're watercolorist, you might not be watching an acrylic video, but just curious. And May wrote, never tried watercolors. No worries, they are quite scary for me too. Haven't tried them that much, I'll say. Haven't done that much with them yet. But it is on my to-do list. Hey Vogla. Yep, that's my dog, Hugo. My Shiba Inu. Makes logical decisions and plays billiards. Oh, you do tempera and gouache also. Awesome. He's a Shiba Inu. They look like Akitas, but no, he's a Shiba Inu. Yes, that's my boy Hugo. The one and only. He's the mascot of the Billiard Academy that I go to. My boy Hugo. His birthday will be in December. His second birthday. It's gonna be 2. Any suggestions for the next acrylic? Is there another painting somebody would want me to do? Remember, this Caravaggio was suggested last week. May, you wrote scary to leave the paper white. I know I could use masking fluid or use a whitener afterwards, but it feels like cheating. Yeah, yeah, that's a tough one, really. Watercolor. But I will be learning it soon. No spoilers yet. But watercolor is on my agenda, everyone. So no suggestions for the next acrylic? If no suggestions, then I'll have to come up with my own. And I'm thinking Bouguereau. If I don't do Bouguereau, then maybe just one of the references that I've taken of the people that I know. Jada R, just what you were going to suggest? Which one, the Bouguereau or my friends from the academy? Bouguereau's not that different from what we're doing here, so it kind of makes sense. In terms of all this subtlety is what I mean. Planes and planes. Lots of planes here. Downhill, you rode. You once saw a live Shiba Inu dog that does little samurai. What? Like little samurai, proud, smart looks. Oh, thanks. Oh, something from Sergeant. Interesting. You commented. That's what we did last week. Let me see if I can find it. It's here somewhere. Yeah, last week was Sergeant. So, yeah, I don't know if well, this is going to be in the time lapse now, but we did a Sergeant last week. So we'd have to probably cycle through a couple other paintings before doing another acrylic Sergeant. Although we could do an encore acrylic Sergeant. That's certainly something that's possible. Yeah, Bouguereau's the most complex skin tones, but it's not so much the skin tones that makes Bouguereau difficult. It's his values, the subtlety in the face that he's able to achieve. But yeah, definitely Bouguereau seems like a fun challenge, especially for acrylic, as most people struggle with the subtleties with acrylic. Now this part of the painting is ultra smooth. All the layers of light that we've used has made it really smooth. Let's see. So maybe wrote if Bouguereau I like more naturalistic, not keen on historic type paintings. Okay, very good. Good suggestion. Jada, I am on Eastern time. Yeah, I know this is a little bit different. I usually stream later in the day, and I'm doing this stream at this time because I was invited to a painting session, a weekly one that is on Thursday evenings. So if all goes well, like if they have long poses that they continue over the span of weeks, then I'll be going there hopefully regularly. It's important to be able to paint from life. So this kind of subtlety is similar to what you'll see in a Bouguereau. this is how you do it with acrylic. And we've done enough for the face, I think, right now. We'll start to add the hair and all that stuff. Planes for the neck. These kind of things. More planes. Really appreciate all of you here. Thanks for those of you that have left a like on the stream. I'll use the medium, which is a golden brand glazing fluid is what it's called. I use it to thin out the paint, but it also adds kind of a nice, what's the word? Glossiness to the paint, especially when you're using dark tones. It's really useful. Dark tones with the glazing fluid is what I would suggest. Although you could do it with just the water too. Let's switch brushes to a bigger one. The big brush that we had before. Get more red. They're trying to match that vermilion color that he used. Kind of just a dulled out red. So remember, tomorrow will be Rembrandt at the usual time, 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Again, let me know in the comments as well if you missed this stream because of the time. I try to keep it consistent, but again, the painting group is at in the evening today. I would like to be able to paint from life. I've already heard from some of you that you do like this time, so that's a good thing. Somebody likes this time. I hate starting a schedule from scratch again, of course. So it takes time to, hit the analytics. And the hair is almost kind of like dreadlocks, the way Caravaggio painted it. Interesting. Hey Jada, you appear to be painting on a difficult surface. Something corrugated, huh? No, it's not a rough surface. Well, it's somewhat rough. It's a cotton canvas, so it's not a smooth wooden panel. And no, I'm not using that because to keep it kind of like a sketch. I'm using it because these days I kind of prefer the feel of cotton a little more. Because I bounce back from oil paint to acrylic, so I like that it's consistent, I guess. But thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Mayoral ringlets are tricky to paint. Oh, yeah, the curls on the hair. Oh, we're just kind of gonna suggest them. You can do that like this. Just have a couple of the highlights in the general vicinity. Like that. Just have it in the direction of the curl. But yeah, it's not that rough of a surface actually, this cotton canvas. Now we'll add some value transitions for this cloth here, similar to the skin tone, but a little more gray. Of course, I'm going to vignette this part. So May, you think the way the painting color shows on a big screen? Oh, looks like it's... Oh, okay. That's strange. You know, it doesn't have lines across it. Uh-oh. Let me see if I can do anything about that. Well, it's too late now. Strange. No, it's a smooth surface. I don't know why it's picking up like that. That's strange. Let me see what can be done about that. Let's raise the light sensitivity or do something different. Let's maybe adjust the light a little bit. Make it lighter. I don't know if that does anything. Probably not. It's weird. It's the way that my stream is picking it up. But we've only got about 20 minutes left. Strange. But no, it doesn't have those lines. I guess it just showed up that way. Strange. Who knows? Maybe it will add something interesting. Nothing I can do about that now. Okay, down here, you wrote 600 milligram watercolor paper, 4-time gesso, sand it. Works best for you. Acrylics, oil paint. You wrote sketchbook is something that's important to you. Awesome. Yeah, it's great to keep a sketchbook. So you can keep, jotting down ideas, loosening the brush. It's great to do. Yeah, sorry that it looks like it has lines. Let me try to take it out for a second. So it's gonna look dark. Yeah, I'm still here, but trying to figure out if something I can do. And it still looks that way. It's weird. I don't know. It could be my camera. No clue. No clue there. We're adding in more of this chiaroscuro effect. So maybe you will only tend to notice it later in the stream. Each time, really, it happens each time. That's weird. Oh, thanks for the positive thinking. I didn't notice that that happens. That's probably my camera, I'm thinking. Strange. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at it on my iPad. I think some of it might have to do with, I don't know really. It might have to do with the frequency of the light. I don't know. So Jade wrote the bluish lines are quite noticeable on the neck. Okay. Strange, I didn't even use blue. I mean, I used a little of it here, but strange. Well, that's how you paint a Caravaggio, minus the lines on the paper. Oh, thanks for sending me that Grace Murphy. Yeah, I can see it on my iPad too. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know. Well, thanks, Giselle, for the Facebook message. Yeah, I don't know really what happened there. Something weird happened here. Something weird. Yeah, sorry, Jed. I don't know what it is. Hey, Vogler. Yes, this is a Baroque style painting. Yeah, tomorrow, 4 o'clock p.m. my time, Eastern Daylight Time, will be the Rembrandt Pastel. Oh, thank you for the comments. Thanks for the likes, everybody. Yeah, I don't know. I think it might have something to do with the frequency of my light. That's what I'm thinking. Because that's what changed earlier. So let me see what can be done here. No, I still see it. It's odd. I don't know. Does it show up on all of them? Does it show up on this one? Not so much. This is gonna be a weird time lapse. With all of these images showing up. Strange. But I'll look into it. I'm sure somebody knows. Oh, okay. So this looks like it fixed it for Grace. Okay. I think it has something to do with the light, the light frequency. I think. Hey, Beanpot. So wavelength of the light plus frame rate of the camera. Could be, yeah, something like that. Well, thanks, Jada. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, despite the strange lines that were showing up. And yeah, I think it has something to do with the frequency of the camera. The canvas doesn't have those lines. So we'll figure that out later on. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this one. Just 5 minutes till the hour. So not really much left, to be honest. There's some differences, of course, with the detail. Caravaggio curved this crease in the hair a tad bit. I'll curve it a little bit, like maybe like that. But yeah, I'll let you know tomorrow how the painting group went, and hopefully I'll be able to continue to go there. Hey, Uncle Earl, you have lines on your desktop monitor, but not your tablet. That's good to know. That's different. Okay, that is a difference there. Interesting. It's the aliens. They're trying to tell me something. They're trying to tell me to paint better. Maybe if I paint better, that won't happen. Okay. Alrighty, nothing left now but to sign. And we will sign, I guess, over here. Appreciate the 17 of you still here. So we'll sign right here. Kind of like a bold signature. And I've been signing 24. Although it doesn't really look like a 4, but close enough. Close enough. Hey Jada, you wrote, bet there's some underlying method used in the paper production which only shows as the paint sinks in. Could be. Could be. Thanks, Jada. Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good experience. Thanks, May, for that comment. So, Giselle, you said, remember someone mentioned or suggested artists and sfumato yesterday? I think that was Mark that mentioned about sfumato. But yeah, this is kind of Da Vinci-esque a little bit. Kind of. So this is the point where I'll ask if there are any last minute questions. And we will, of course, do pastel tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Just hanging out to see if there are any last minute questions. And hopefully you've enjoyed this Caravaggio, Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio in acrylic. Hey Jonas, yeah, sorry about the time. I hope it didn't confuse you. But yeah, I found a painting group. The only problem is they do Thursday evenings, so that's why I streamed early. Thanks, Jonas. I'm glad you liked the portrait and the colors. Okay, so it looks like there are no last minute questions. Once again, thank you all so much for joining. I really hope that you are enjoying the streams. I wish you all the very best, and I will see you tomorrow.